Toxic relationships, limited self-worth, and lack of integrity. How to start moving in the right direction. Roll it. Welcome back to another video where we've been exploring this whole idea of patience with ourselves, with people, these promises, and how we deal with life in general, and how we get ourselves moving in the right direction again, especially after things happen that we don't necessarily want to have happen. In this email, I get a great sense of wanting to recover and be the person they were, but growth has occurred due to experience. So let's jump into it. Hi Nikos, thanks for the videos. Some are really making sense to me. Excellent. The Narcissist one really brought some things to light. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it up top. My question is how to trust my integrity. How do I know my values are 100% right? I'm recovering from some harsh relationships. I'm not sure if they were narcissists or not, but the last one took everything from me. I find it hard to make the right decisions as of late with people. I'm patient with them, but then I blow up as they make me feel I'm being taken advantage. Where do I start? And again, this is you going through growth. So first things first, I want you to just really look at this from perspective that this is a normal process that people take. They go through this process after they've been dealt with a series of blows, especially trust-wise, and then you start double guessing yourself. You're asking about integrity and your values and if they're 100% right, and then as you go through the email, you're saying, you know, I don't know if I'm making the right decisions, and then you're blowing up at the people that are still in your life. This is all in sequence, and yes, you won't be feeling like you're making the right decisions at any one time when you've experienced all of this. It's very simple. You go through a series of bad relationships, and even if that last one was a bad one, you are always experiencing a degrade moment after each relationship. You're seeing yourself go from worse to worse to worse, and you weren't giving yourself enough time to recover from whatever had happened. And when people go through this, well, what ends up happening? Well, your mindset turns into that negative chatter. It brings you down one level after the next until you finally hit rock bottom, and you lose all sense of that self-worth. You lose that integrity. You lose the whole idea behind what are your true values. You start doing stuff that you would never do before. And I'm sure everybody has been there if they've experienced bad relationships, or they had bad friendships, or bad family members, etc. Any kind of relationship in that manner. And what ends up happening is that we go down this hole and we can't get back up, and if we don't give ourselves time to get back up, well, then we just fall into a trap of another person, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. This is why it's good when you end a relationship that you take some time to reflect, look at your life, grow through what occurred, understand what occurred, and understand that your values will change on any one scenario, any one topic, anything that you're really passionate about. And this is just simple economics of life, of how we work. It's human nature. And now you're talking about people, and I'm not sure who you're exactly talking about, but you feel like you're being taken advantage. And again, this is a normal thing to feel. This is normal after you've experienced relationships where you were taken advantage of, where you were manipulated, you were mistreated, where you start thinking anybody would be willing to do it. It's normal with toxic relationships. In toxic relationships, what is happening is your mindset is being attacked. Your self-worth is being degraded to such an extent where you go through these loops of just like clusters of craziness, and you think you are the person that's not logical in any one situation. You think that your emotions should be somewhere else when they're in this area of craziness. And I see it all the time with people, especially when they're dealing with the narcissistic types. And this isn't just narcissists that we're dealing with. Toxic people would be any one of those clusters. The toxic people are the ones that use the techniques of the narcissistic types so that they can get their way. And no matter what you do, you will continually be hammered down with these techniques until you finally stand your ground and really put yourself first. And this is incredibly challenging. As time goes on, our self-value just becomes nothing but a doormat, and we become a doormat. People see that we don't accept what's happening until we do hit rock bottom, and then this is where you go through this loop thinking everybody else is toxic. It's very simple, you know. It's just a loop of craziness. There's no other words to explain it. And yes, when people have not experienced this, they'll think you're crazy, and this again is normal. Like when I experienced it, people thought I was crazy. And they're like, who is this guy? He was like the alpha male that turned into, what is this? And I was in this place of just an endless loop of ups and downs, and I was taking it out on everybody else. To come back to the real world of who I was, the reality of it, I had to work long and hard to understand this world, understand everything behind it, because I do that. I analyzed everything. I had to seek advice. I had to go through this process, and I had to rely on certain people that spoke my language. I couldn't rely on other people because most people would be like, why are you going through this? Like, where's your self-respect? Where's your self, you know, how do you treat yourself like this? Like, how are you allowing this to happen? Do you have no self-regard for yourself? And they didn't understand it. Until you go through it, you don't really understand it. It's the craziest thing. And this applies to any kind of toxic relationship. And as you go through these toxic relationships and you get out of them, the first thing you want to do is become centered with yourself. You really want to focus on you. You want to limit the interactions you're having with people. You want to limit having the interactions with anybody about the topic, about talking about your past relationships, about talking about all this stuff. You want to limit it with anybody who can't understand the value of what, or appreciate rather, the value of what occurred. And I mean, these toxic relationships can get pretty bad, pretty ugly, where even, you know, police gets involved and you're changed forever. The bottom line is, before you were somebody, and a lot of the times we go to get back there, but we'll never be that person because we experience what we experienced. We have to accept that we experienced it. And we have to accept that we were in that. And it was reality, not a false narrative. And then we have to look at it and apply it to our growth that's about to occur, of how our future will be. This is where we find that development of how well we can bounce back and become the person we know we were meant to be. And what will happen in this process is you'll realign yourself with seeing that, hey, I'm gonna go talk to certain people that know about this stuff. I'm gonna go talk with people that understand it and can guide me. Counselors are great, coaches are great. Anybody really who's experienced it and understands it, that doesn't have a negative outlook on the whole thing, because a lot of people will go through it and then have this negative mindset, and at the end of the day, they're not helping you develop through it. They're just making you more negative about it so you can get through it, and you're never going to get closure in that way. And then as you start talking about those with those specific people, you'll start seeing yourself again of who you were and what you are now. What are the new values that are being introduced into your life? You're going to start building your boundaries again, where when you start talking with people, even the small short conversations about what's happening in your life, in their life, you can actually start to maintain these boundaries and grow these boundaries so people don't cross over them. You'll be able to say no again. And you'll be able to say no again because these boundaries will allow you to get back in check with your integrity. And once integrity is at play, well, now you'll be able to make the right decisions at the right time. Integrity is critical, and we don't just get it back. It's a practice. All of this is practice. Being able to say yes or no at any one moment is based on how centered you are right now. You know, the Yes Man video I made, which I'll link above, I always go for the right, but the left is. Anyways, that is something that, you know, that video, everybody goes through that to become the yes person, because it's based out of fear. They're worried about the future more than they are about the right now and what's good for them right now. It took a long time for me to start saying no. It took a long time for me to say I have better priorities to do right now and focus on that. It took a long time for me to be centered enough to say I know what my purpose is. I know what my mission is. What direction am I going to go? And anybody you will talk to who has experienced this will tell you it takes a long time. It's not overnight. And anybody who says, hey, do this for the quick fix never works. It never ever works. We experience what we experience, and we have to allow time to do its thing while we practice the new things that will make us better for who we are. So when you're questioning, is my integrity or are my values 100% right? Well, hey, we can sit there and talk about them and go through them and see where's your mindset at and what, society sees as norm in that situation. But I don't think that's what you're asking about. I think it's you're double guessing. Am I doing the right things at the right time? Because I don't know if I am in line with myself, if I know that I'm centered right now, I'm making the right decisions for the future. And I'm telling you, it takes time. You will make mistakes, and you're gonna have to look at everything and write everything down and really focus on writing everything down. Today I made this decision and I didn't appreciate me making that decision. Allow yourself to make wrong mistakes and very, very in detail write everything down and be really, really cautious about how you're seeing things. When you make a decision, did you appreciate yourself or not? Did you like that decision or not? And will you repeat it again if the time comes? In this manner, you'll start to shape up a stronger identity of yourself, the new you from the person you were to the growth that is partaking, so that you can start moving in the right direction. My name is Nikos Rentas. This is mentorsapproach.com. Hit a like if you like what you see, and of course hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell so you get those daily motivational ideas to get your mindset moving in that right direction. Of course, leave a comment below if you've been through something similar, and who knows, maybe you got a different idea behind it, and maybe that idea applies to somebody who might be reading your comment in the future, and it might help change a life.